Thank you, Brian. All right, let's bring in our A-plus panel to break this down. We're joined by Jeanette Hoffman, political strategist, and mom. Good to have you here, Jeanette.
Thanks,
Bob
Bill.
Bianchi, former prosecutor. Always good to see you. And Elora Nanos, you are a columnist and a lawyer. Elora, let me start with you. You're a mom. You hear this story. Young kid gets hit in the face. What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Oh, my gosh. The first thing that came to my mind was, I really hope this child is okay. This is really upsetting. Having said that, sometimes there are just accidents, and I'm sure that this poor family must feel terrible and want some kind of compensation for this terrible ordeal. But I remember learning in the beginning of law school that the classic example of when you cannot sue is being hit by a baseball at a baseball game. So my heart goes out to them, but I don't think...
Bob, is that enough? What, a sign that says you could get hit by a foul ball?
Can we go a little bit beyond the law here, Bill, and talk about a moral responsibility? These teams have an obligation to protect kids, even if it's don't put a 2-year-old in an area that is clearly known to be a place where people are being injured. I would respectfully disagree. It is true law school teaches you the foul ball rule, but not in the face of a known risk that people are repeatedly encountering and they do nothing about. I think they could have a problem legally.
Jeanette,
as
what
well.
do you think?
What
would you sit there with your kids?
No, actually I wouldn't. And it comes down to common sense and parental responsibility, Bob. I mean, I have 3 kids. I would never take the baby to a baseball game for that reason. And the older 2, I wouldn't sit somewhere where they could be in danger of being hit by a foul ball.
So why is it that the first reaction, Todd Frazier obviously felt awful about this, but that notwithstanding, immediately the call for more netting. And I got to tell you, I think it devalues the seats. I never sit behind the net. I hate the view from that. But you got to be aware if you're sitting in that foul line. But to me, I don't know. Does it get any traction, Bob?
No, but you just use the magic words for business.
What's that?
Use something, and they're making a cost-benefit analysis.
Of course they are.
They're saying, so what if a couple of people get popped with a foul ball? We'll pay the price for that so that we can sell those tickets.
Let me ask you, why not treat this like the airlines? You know, you can't have a little kid sitting in an exit row in an airline. Why not treat certain parts of the ballpark like that and say, hey, we got age limits?
I think that might be a very good solution, because that's a way to minimize the risk, but at the same time deal with the concerns of the team. I think that's an excellent solution.
Okay, got to leave it there. Now, all right, I want to bring back our A-plus panel. Jeanette Hoffman is here, political strategist and mom. Good to have you here.
Thanks,
Former
Bill.
Prosecutor Bob Bianchi, and Elora Nanos, columnist and lawyer. Jeanette, I want to start with you. Very difficult to digest some of these numbers. I mean, you're talking about 11 and 12, but I want to address the point. I see this as a part of a greater problem. You know, there's some kids, obviously there's mental illness that happens, but what about coping skills? What about you as a parent?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we can do a show about parental responsibility here. I mean, the internet and cyberbullying is out of control, and there are a lot of programs and schools in the community to address it. But what are we doing at home, right? We're giving these kids these phones. We're not showing them how to use it or to engage in social media properly. It's about teaching your kid to be a decent person and also to have those coping skills. I really think it's the responsibility of the parents.
Bullying has been around since there have been human beings on the planet. So is it that we just don't teach these young kids how to deal with it? And what's been your experience?
My experience as prosecutors, we started one of the most proactive anti-bullying campaigns before it was even fashionable. And here's what I found. It's not law enforcement's primary responsibility or the education community's primary responsibility to stop the bullying. The parents should be monitoring to make sure that their kids aren't.
Were any of you guys bullied when you were kids?
You know what? I was bullied. You know what my father told me? I got bullied by one of the toughest kids in the town.
What did he tell you to do?
He told me, go back down there next week and punch that kid in the face. And you know what? Today he'd be charged with child abuse for that advice.
And that's the exact point. And Laura, what do you think? I mean, the governor had this whole anti-bullying campaign. I think he made it worse. If you define everything as bullying,
then nothing is bullying.
That is certainly true. But I would love to say that the answer here is to just get the kids to toughen up. But the truth is that we as parents also have a responsibility to not make life so unbelievably stressful for children. Children are overscheduled, they're overstressed, there's tremendous pressure on them, everything is a competition.
But you agree you're going to separate mental illness from the kids that if you taught them better coping skills, they might be able to deal with it better.
I agree. It's
50 over the course
and
of those
also
years,
teaching the other kids to be decent human beings.
Yeah, you know, we've lost that. The parents, you know what the parents do, I can tell you as a prosecutor? They point the finger at you when they have the bully as opposed to what our parents probably would have done.
It's always somebody else's fault, right? All right, guys, thanks. I got to leave it there. Let's bring in our panel. Guys, I feel like I'm talking about New Jersey Transit constantly. Elora, what can be done? I know this is a small thing, but
no, it's actually
it's
a big thing for anybody who's taken the train with any regularity. And I would like to think that for the amount of money it costs to take that train that they can do better than having concrete falling and trains being late and everything being a mess. I mean, there's got to be something that these people
I don't want to
can
be
do.
standing in a station and have a piece of concrete bop me on the head. I'm just going to have to keep driving in.
Yeah, I mean, our roads and bridges are literally crumbling, as we just saw. I mean, infrastructure in New Jersey is terrible. And if you look at the polls, it is the #2 issue behind taxes and affordability. People really care about that. Their commute impacts their quality
Maybe they
of
ought to
life.
hire some people that know just a bit about engineering and train management.
That was
Right.
really
All
helpful.
right, I got to leave it there, guys. Always good to see you. Elora, Bob, Jeanette, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Bill.
Let's bring back Dan Zach.